Hey everyone, welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. We're here in Crater Club Studios here in Toronto. We just wrapped up the Belgian Grand Prix, and I've never been more confused off of a race than this race. Where do we even start, guys?
Yeah, when I said I wanted to go to the spa, I'm kidding. This is not what I meant.
No.
Yeah, it was a jam-packed race. There wasn't one moment or lull, though there wasn't actually any
Crazy action, yeah.
virtual safety or any yellow flags or anything like that.
No
carnage. But it was so action-packed.
Yeah.
So, and even like from the beginning till the end, and a lot of strategy calls that were questionable. So yeah, there's a lot
Was it McLaren this time?
I mean, it was everyone.
Yeah, this was was it McLaren who fumbled the bag this time, or was it
100%.
every other team?
You know what? When we were making those race predictions, I don't know why I didn't trust my gut. I didn't trust my gut last week. I wanted to put Piastri, and I was like, you know what? I don't know, and I didn't.
Shout out.
And then this weekend, I was like, oh, I did put Lewis in there somewhere. I think second or third, but I was like, I don't know if Lando will actually secure the bag in that he just never has great starts.
Don't know what it is.
That was a weird start from him. Yeah. Not good.
Very weird to kind of go wide, and then I think he lost like 3 grid places.
Spots. I think 2 to 3, but it was also like unforced. He had that clean wide angle. I don't know how.
It was just a weird start. Like Checo dove, and then I feel like everybody behind had to react in case he took somebody off track.
Yeah.
Which is usually something that would happen on the first lap.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this was a race. You can even say the pundits coming into this race weekend were like, it's a McLaren, strong. It's going to be a strong performance. Red Bull they're going to have to gamble on one, whether it's their straight line speed or downforce. That car has a very narrow window, and you can't get both anymore.
They optimized for more downforce this weekend. I think with them, I think it's I guess showing where the rest of the team is at. They're no longer ahead of and we've seen that over the last 7, 8, 9, I don't know, however many, since I guess Miami, we've seen quite a difference in the amount of upgrades and the rest of the pack kind of catching up to Max catching up to Red Bull.
It is Max.
Well, yeah, mostly Max.
Some shade there.
But don't worry, we'll enter the one segment in a bit.
There is Choco is what I call him,
Yikes.
right?
The Choco segment.
The
Let's
Choco
rename
segment.
it.
But no, I think that it's no longer, they can't rely just on their pace anymore. And that's what we're seeing now, because there are other cars that have better pace and have optimized in the latter half of the the first half of the season. So I don't know, it's much more exciting. I definitely love seeing Red Bull having to compete rather than just being so out of everyone's league. But very much surprising that, first of all, Lewis dominated the first half of this race.
Oh yeah.
That was a surprise. Not really a surprise, and that's why I was saying I should have trusted my gut, because because he's a veteran and because he's a seven. I reluctantly say 7 time world champion, and once he's in the front, I think he knows how to manage his tire, how to stay there. But I did not anticipate the George win.
Yeah, that was wild. We had so many race leaders though. I feel like at some point I was like, is Oscar gonna win? Is Lando gonna get his second win today? Carlos Sainz maybe is gonna go all the way on this tire
crazy.
And make a crazy move. I don't know. It was a lot of opportunities.
It really was. And even off the start, when Max took 2 or 3 positions, we're like, it's going to be the Max show. He's about to blitz this whole front end. And somehow, within 2 or 3 laps, he just got stuck in DRS, and it was just managing tires at that point. He was having a solo race. He's like, guys, what do you guys want me to do? Do you want me to push? Do you want me to just stay in this? He was very confused, which I have not seen Max. He's either I'm going full beans regardless. Even when he didn't have a competitive car, he would do that.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see the very different contrast that Red Bull's having now, where, like you just said, they're not as confident. They're not the top dogs anymore. They're questioning their strategies. They've made, I think, even more questionable strategy calls now, even in this race. With Checo, after a few laps in, they pit him again, which was okay. And you actually cost Max to get a tow
Yeah.
and help him with Norris, even though Norris didn't pass him this race. So it was very weird, and they were making gambling choices. Same with Norris on that stint where he had a 2 or 3 lap earlier or fresher tires,
Yeah.
and somehow pit the same lap as Max or the one after. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
why did they do that?
And then
What was the point?
they've matched the same strategy for Oscar.
yeah.
And you're like, you're seeing what Mercedes just did, right? Kept George out.
yeah.
You're going to end up either P6 or P7, and that's where Lando would have ended up. Would you not have chanced and mimicked or mirrored what George did?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm surprised why more people didn't give that a shot.
No, I think it's because of the Carlos. Like you mentioned it. I
Yeah.
think that he did that long stint. They didn't see that he was losing so much time. They're like, it's not a gamble worth taking when you're up there in the top 5.
For sure. But I think it's just like, what do you think you'll gain from having the same strategy for your 2 drivers who obviously Lando could have had a better, he could have been in a better position to optimize, but he wasn't. He was in P5 or P6 or P7 at this point. And it didn't make sense to me. And I think this is the 4th time or 4th race where I'm like, the pit wall at McLaren, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
It's just the strategy calls. I saw this tweet or X, I don't know what it's called now, but it said you could take them out of midfield, but you can't take the midfield out of the McLaren.
No. Wow.
Shade.
Sheesh.
And I just really think that they're still, they now have really good car and 2 strong drivers,
Yeah.
but it's like they don't expect to be there, and so like they're really fumbling on the strategy side.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you need both to work, so that like you see what Max can do. What Max did 2 races ago, I believe. Was it 2 races ago? When with the really strong strategy.
Silverstone, yeah.
Silverstone.
Yeah.
So like you need both strong driver and strategy to make a championship winning team, not just driver. So I definitely think that there were a lot of questionable moments when both on the driver side and the team side.
They have to like find the right balance though between like the pit wall making decisions and then letting drivers like also make their own decisions.
Yeah.
It just seems like they're in a middle ground where they don't know what to do. And Nico Rosberg said this last week, like post race, really well, obviously in a different context about team orders. But he was telling Andrea Sella, like, you guys need to give your drivers firm decisions. Like you can't. In risky situations, you can't just be like, so like, what do you think we should do? Like at your earliest convenience, whenever you get a chance to think about it, are you feeling A, B, or C?
God.
Like, I think they asked one of the drivers today, like, which plan like should we go
Oscar.
with? And like, maybe in that situation, you should be like, we're thinking B, like confirm.
Exactly.
It just puts the driver in a bad situation where they're already like in so much stress that it's like they can't make the best decisions sometimes.
Of course. Because now, like, as a driver, you're also going to be questioning yourself. Be like, well, do I have the pace for A? Do I, like, while you're midway race, you're questioning your own way of driving, which I don't think is fair to these drivers, especially because they're so young.
Yeah,
And like, they
true.
need a team that can back them up, and all they have to focus is on driving and optimizing for wins.
And the youngness is not even so much in age, but just in like being in the seat.
Yeah.
And obviously Lando has been there for quite some time, but not at the performance that they're performing now. So they're kind of like amateurs, if you like the rookies of the top, 3 teams right now. And I think what I hope will happen in the second half is they refine their strategy, they refine the team communication, as Claudia just said, and then they are a lot more also not caring about what the rest of the pack or what everybody else is doing, so much as paying attention to, okay, what is the outcome that we're looking for? Who are we racing, really? Right?
Yeah, they're confused about that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they need to take notes out of Ferrari's, like, last 10 years. It's like, has no one learned anything?
None.
No, I saw another tweet that was like, for like the blind leading the blind, and it was like Ferrari strategy team leading McLaren, and it's like, come on, guys, I don't know, like we need to just take a breath, take a step back. I'm saying we, but I really want to see the Papaya gang at the top. I do, but they won't be unless they kind of
make
get
firm
there.
decisions. Yeah. And even on the flip side with Mercedes, during the cool down room, Lewis came out and said, or Oscar is like, hey, he did the whole stint on those hard tires. And Lewis was like, yeah, I had great stints on all my tires. I could have done the same. Do you think Mercedes should have kept Lewis on the long stint and had the reverse side of it, or is this?
I mean, they had to
call?
Gamble, like Feven said. Like, you can't put two drivers on like the same strategy. Everybody knew what George was doing was risky. It worked out for him, but it wasn't like everyone was like, "Oh, obviously that's going to be the winning move."
Had it not worked out,
they would have ate it.
Exactly. And so that you had a chance of a 1-2 Mercedes win, regardless of who was going to be there, whether it be George on top or Hamilton. To gamble both would have been crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think Lewis might have thought that was done on purpose, like as in like it was pre-planned that he was, or at some point throughout the race that the plans changed for George, but rather he made the call on the off the cuff. And maybe that's why he was upset. But like, yeah, of course, I think that's a smart strategy to make sure if you're, especially the leading driver, which was Hamilton, you won't gamble his race.
Yeah, you'll play safe.
You would play safe.
Yeah.
And what I really liked, though, and that would contrast to the McLaren team last race, is that they didn't make any awkward, they said race on.
Huge.
And it was very clear, as long as you leave enough room. And, I think that is the kind of direction that you need. And the drivers are smart. And honestly, kudos to George. He kept a really solid pace. Hamilton couldn't catch up to him. Now, I know we're still pending while we're filming this on the current steward investigation on like the post-race weight of the car from George Russell. But regardless, George did a really solid drive. And had team orders come into play like due to politics like it did with McLaren last week, that would have been really weird and contentious as well. And so I'm glad that it played out the way it did.
Yeah. I mean, I think Mercedes has experience with two,
exactly.
Good drivers. So they know, they've learned their lesson and then they know how to manage. I think they also have to be smart, right? Like George is likely their lead driver next year.
Yes.
And you can't.
Well, there you have it.
Oh,
so
what a timing. We were just talking about it.
Well, now I guess Lewis can't be so mad.
Yeah. You've got your second win.
Cool down room.
So is it actually what?
Second win for Lewis. Congratulations. Yeah. Good thing we just started this episode saying congratulations to George Russell. I was thinking about it, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to pause.
I mean, 1.5 kilograms is a lot.
It is.
It's not like, a minor technicality.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
guys.
Bold. That's bold. That changes things.
George Russell. Wow. Okay. He faces disqualifications. What I'm still seeing, but this is 56 minutes ago, so I need to refresh. But regardless, I think that's a shame.
It is.
That's a shame.
It is.
For George. But what a genius that he was. I mean, genius that it worked out.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd be calling him a genius had it not worked out.
Yeah.
I mean, we would have called Sainz a genius too, and I think he would have finished higher up. But it was a great drive because he still managed his tires, though.
That is wild.
That's a tough one to swallow. Yeah.
It's not even like he just got disqualified. Mercedes just loses their 1-2 now.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it always sucks when you're disqualified on a technical thing, especially when you've earned it and really driven the race.
Oh,
that hurts. So now it moves on to our next topic. Is Lewis making the right decision by going to Ferrari? Now, we've seen Mercedes back on top week after week since their upgrade a few races ago, and it just looks like they're only going to get better. That is their trajectory. So now Lewis is moving on to a team that is struggling, hasn't figured it out, somehow sneaked in a podium with Charles this weekend with this disqualification.
Yeah, that was a sneaky podium.
Yeah, right? I mean, it came down to great qualifying, but what do we think? Is this?
I think it's still very close. Like, I know that they're not as, they started the season very strong. Mm-hmm. The teams that have brought upgrades have kind of leaped across or jumped ahead of Ferrari, but not by massive margins. I don't think it's not like I think, as you see, Ferrari's still fighting for podiums. I think it's too close, too soon to say whether he should question his decision. Like, I do think that with time and with Lewis kind of going in a year before the new regulations come to play, I think that's smart. It helps him adjust, have a say a little bit on how the for the 2026 season. Yeah. So if anything, sure, maybe next year he may not be fighting for a driver championship, but he might be setting himself up for 2-3 years of that post.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think Ferrari has more data and more time to develop. I don't think being on the back end of the top 4 is a bad thing, because it just allows you to like have, I guess, more to kind of bring in, more developments, and have more say. I think being at the top is probably worse off.
Well, we're seeing it with Red Bull. Yeah.
Exactly. They're probably choking and going, oh my God, what do we do?
I mean, George said it this week, didn't he? He was like, oh, I don't know if Lewis knew that if by this time we'd be here, that he would have still made that move. I mean, I think he would have gone anyways, because it's more of like, I think, a historical, like, iconic move than like one driven by, I think, his ambition to win a world championship.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's like, he's not naive. Obviously, he probably has way more info than the rest of us know, that like internally it's been a hard 10 years for Ferrari. The world championship is probably not coming next year.
No.
Or potentially the year after. But like, I think he's doing it for, you know, the sake of having done it and like being part of Ferrari history, although I don't know how long it's going to continue to be iconic if it's not working out.
I think it will be. I think it'll work. It'll work out. Maybe I'm Delulu, but I'm a strong Ferrari, and I'm biased too because I'm a Ferrari fan. And it's if you're going to end your career, well, I don't know I'm sure at some point Lewis will end his career at some point. He'll be like 60,
age 98.
60 years old and still driving, but that man is not human. It would be very like a picture perfect ending to, after a few years, to win his championship, having developed the team, and then his legacy is that they continue to be championship winning team as a constructor.
Legendary.
That would be huge. It's not just like a one season impact. It will be a very, very everlasting thing. That what he's done with Mercedes, and a lot of the development Mercedes did had a lot to do with Lewis, not just as a driver, but as an advisor. So I think that maybe that might carry on.
You never know. But on contrast, though, every other team is very confident. It's still early on that 2026, the engine power unit it's looking very strong for Mercedes, which is why Alpine wants to sign with them.
True.
McLaren extended their deal. Williams was probably going to do the exact same thing. It's just showing that Mercedes is going to be ahead of the curve. Red Bull, complete question mark. They're building something from scratch.
Yeah.
What other teams are left other than that? And then Ferrari, of course, but they've been hush-hush. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So it'll be interesting to see in 2 years, like you said, did he make the right decision? And at the end of it, like you said, I think it is a childhood dream that he had, and he wants to finish off in Ferrari, whether he wins or not. Exactly. It's such an iconic team. But let's talk about the other drivers. Summer break is here.
Yes.
We got a lot of driver movements happening.
Silly season, summer break.
Let's make our predictions. Let's start with Carlos. Where do we see him signing?
Ooh, I don't know. I've heard some rumors, so I feel like I don't know. It changes every week.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be Mercedes or Red Bull. So Williams.
Okay.
Is where I think it makes the most sense, but like on a short term, and then figure out where he goes from there based on how Red Bull is at that time. I've heard rumors about Max.
To Mercedes,
Which is crazy.
Hey, you never know. He would go to a winning car.
I feel like Toto Wolff would do anything for that. I think he would like sell his soul to bring Max to Mercedes.
Listen.
He would have Max sleep over at his house too.
Yeah, he's like sim racing room just for you.
He's like, in my house, you have a whole sim room wherever you want during race weekend.
Every weekend.
We have a massive trailer.
George is like, Toto.
Block.
Decline.
Where's my room? Max is sleeping in it.
100%. I could see that happening.
I don't know. But yeah, I think Williams. I don't know who else.
There's Alpine.
Alpine seat,
There's Audi is confirmed. Not yet. Yeah.
Not yet.
An Audi seat.
Yeah.
Or stake.
Yeah. But that's too like he's gonna be sitting duck in the stake F1 kick team. I forgot what
it's just not promising. No. He's also 30. Like, I mean, granted, not every driver is gonna go until their 40s and 50s, like Lewis and Fernando.
Meanwhile, he's younger than me. Oh my god!
But it's just like I feel like he doesn't have that many years to be like sitting building a project for like the next 6 years, hoping that the car is gonna. Like, I feel like if anything, Williams has the most potential, and James Vowles is like vouching for Carlos.
Yeah,
100%. I see that too, and it depends on another individual deciding, which is Adrian Newey.
Yeah.
He's in talks with he's pretty much confirmed to stay in UK teams. So it's either going to be McLaren or
Which
Williams.
is a lot of the teams.
Yeah, that's true.
fair.
That's true. The factories. But I think those two are on the hot list. I mean, other than Red Bull, and he's not going to Mercedes. So the two that are left.
He should go to Williams and like imagine him and Sainz at Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, it would
Oh,
be
and I forgot about Aston Martin. They pretty much
That's
gave him a
true.
blank check.
Yeah.
Where the other teams are like, don't think they gave him a blank check, but they're like, they've shown him that they have a competitive car that he can work on. So it'll be interesting.
So wait, so we have quite a few movements still yet
Pending,
right? Because we now have confirmed Esteban Ocon is going to Haas with Beerman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bear man.
Beerman. Let's make him.
Can you tell we're from Toronto?
Goddamn.
And then the Alpine, both seats are unconfirmed or no?
Alpine.
Pierre
No, Pierre
is
is
signed.
so one
Yeah.
seat is
Yeah.
unconfirmed.
One seat's
so
left.
who do we think will take the other seat?
I was thinking actually Carlos would go to Alpine.
I think
Kiss of
that's going to
death.
be weird. I just think like the dynamic is not there. Like,
Yeah, they're
I
not
mean,
the best of
we know
friends.
that Alpine has a lot of internal issues, like being an English and French team. Like, there's just been a lot of
Did he
rumors
just
and
not fire
issues.
somebody at the top?
Yeah,
he
They have
resigned,
like
yeah.
so many different internal structural things happening. Like, it just seems a bit messy.
Yeah, I only say that because of how they signed Flavio as an advisor, and he is gonna restructure and build this team. And they do have a close relationship, and the fact that they'll probably most likely get a Mercedes engine also. It's looking like that's the only thing, honestly. Yes, they had a hiccup at the beginning of the
Yeah.
season, but they have developed really well with
Yeah.
this car. And the only drawback is their Renault engine, which
Yeah.
is
They're parting ways.
yeah, and they're parting ways. If you give them a good engine, they will be a
And
good
show them
competitive.
some money.
Yeah, that's why they do.
I mean,
with
the
all these
American investors and all the
Again, a blank check.
yeah.
With
I mean,
a driver.
that could make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of see Sainz just being in a Mercedes seat for I don't know why.
I know, I want
and
him
so
there.
I
know, that
I
would
see
be
the vision
iconic.
of him going to Williams and then going to Mercedes.
Most likely won't happen because then there's Kimi.
Who's kind of killing it.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
starting to wake up in the F2 grid, and everyone's
He was
taking
there,
notice.
and he was there. The camera keeps
Oh, with
panning to
Bono?
keep. Yeah.
I was like, oh, foreshadowing. Have you guys seen that video of him remembering all of his lap times?
No.
Kimi?
Kimmy? Yeah.
No way.
He like apparently remembers every lap time of like any race and session that he's done, and his engineer was like quizzing him on it. Like, you know, Saudi Arabia, like first sector, and he had them
Jesus.
down. He knew Behrman's once too. I was like, wow, this is like
That boy's dialed in. He wants that
Yeah.
seat.
Yeah. He's just like before
He's
he goes
ready.
to bed, he just
he's like Toto Wolff, my lap times of last week, you wouldn't believe it.
He has a room in Toto's house. There's a room there too.
Oh my God, Toto just continue to build bedrooms left and right.
I think he has the space to
Sounds
What are we
wrong.
talking about? Let's back it up. Let's back it up to the
sounds like
drivers.
Valtteri sounds like there's a
Yes.
lot of convos about what's going to happen to him.
Yeah.
IndyCar seats are like in the
Whoa.
rumors I've
Yeah.
heard. Because I don't know if he has a seat for next
No.
year.
Yeah, because the two are both Joe Ganyu and Bottas are not
No.
not being re-signed.
Yeah.
Where I don't.
I think I think he was gonna. Again, it depends on Carlos and where he goes,
Yeah.
which will open up every other conversation that we're gonna have.
Domino effect at that
Exactly,
point.
because if he signs with another team outside of Williams, I think Williams is gonna scoop him up right away.
Yeah. Yes.
They just want veteran drivers.
Yeah.
They just want to focus on developing the car and hopefully getting back to the front.
Yeah.
Right. So I think he will stay depending on Carlos.
And we've confirmed Fernando, or he wasn't.
Oh, he resigned.
Yeah, he resigned.
Yeah.
extended.
So
Stroll
that's it.
extended.
Lance is just forever seat.
Forever. Undefined.
Till he's bored.
Literally undefined.
So that's it, right?
That's it. And we actually, who else is leaving?
Well, I mean, the Mercedes seat is unconfirmed.
Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Daniel Ricciardo, a lot of
Oh my
rumors
God,
about him
Daniel-
being
Yes, we
super
forgot about the Red
happy
Bull.
after being kicked out of Q2 for some reason.
Yeah, what?
He was just all smiles.
Is that a nervous thing?
But like, I feel like usually you can see the disappointment in his face, and like, you know, he's not been happy with the past qualifying sessions. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really
is
feel
he going to be
like-
replaced? Because I know that they were saying like this is like in the
I
second
think he's
half.
taking that Red Bull seat like 90%.
He's
I
either
think
I saw something. He's either getting promoted or getting dropped. And the way he was smiling, I'm like,
He heard something.
You just got a promotion.
Yeah.
He's like, that contract is signed, inked right after summer break. I'm back in that seat.
So this leads us to our Choco segment.
Yes. Well, it was
I mean,
an interesting
points.
weekend. He got points.
Yeah.
So he's now P3? No, where did he finish?
he's
Oh my God, P7.
7?
Yeah.
Because you finished P8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
so,
yeah, upgraded.
Sorry, he
Qualified?
qualified P3.
Which was honestly.
P2. Qualified P2. He was in the front.
He got moved up. Yes. But it was actually an impressive qualifying. His qualifying. Wait. He passed Q1.
He literally almost.
He passed Q1.
He almost by the skin of his teeth.
Yep.
Yeah.
He didn't bend the car. He actually kept it alive.
So look how like your standards have fallen. He's like
We're
he
back
made
here.
it.
We're back here. And he outqualified all the top drivers other than Charles and Max. I consider that a win in my books.
And then he's barely in points after starting like front row.
Yeah, we've known he doesn't have good starts, which is why none of us put him in his predictions.
Last year he did.
He did. He took the toe from Charles and he got it. He had a dominant car last year, so we'll give it to that.
Just
But
saying.
I really
He's
think
also used to be the tire whisperer.
true that.
I'm just saying there are so many opportunities where he could extract more,
Yeah.
and he extracts nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel so bad because obviously everybody asks him, "Oh, you know, your seat is in question." Blah blah. So it must
Every
be
time.
demoralizing, but also it's just like this downward spiral. Like even when you are scoring points, it's not great enough.
Yeah.
It's not good enough.
Because like
yeah.
a person your teammate who started behind you
P11
has
being-
Oh my
leaped
God.
across like ahead of you by like 4 or 5 grid points or spots. So hello, wake up.
Yeah, I like it's hard. If I was in the hot seat with Red Bull as even Christian, it's a gamble to move someone right now mid-season because regardless, you don't have the top car anymore. You have a competitive car. It's gonna be now. It's more likely gonna be track specific dominance for any of the top 4 teams now. We're seeing it even this weekend.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't try to bring someone in this late in.
Why not bring Daniel up?
It's still like introducing a new car to somebody.
However, they did that with Nick.
Oh no, that was a full season after.
No, it was halfway through the season.
Oh yeah, but they were a backmarker team. Like they had no reason.
Yeah, but I'm saying is move someone that you know has been in a Red Bull seat, is still in the game right now in the sport. Bring him up, and then have Liam do half a season, get comfortable, and then go into the next
swap.
season. Yeah, no, leave Liam in V carb,
okay.
and then after a season or two, go into 2026 with like more data, more knowledge of where your team should be.
That's why. It's
Like, what do they have to lose? I mean,
Yeah, it's worth it for them to take the gamble. Like
Yeah.
the constructors is, I know a lot of people don't want to admit it, but like it's
That's
kind
gone.
of at risk
Oh, yeah.
at this point with how things are going. So like you can't really rely on the rest of the season being like, we hope Max qualifies on pole every time and like gets P1 every time.
or finish on the podium.
And like God knows where, you know, your second teammate's gonna be. So
Like this is the first time he's been in the points. Choco. Imagine. Sorry.
First time the points.
No, for the last 7 or 8 races.
No, he's finishing points. I mean, Hungary, he had a fantastic race. From the back of the grid, finished P7.
Yeah, I feel like I've eliminated him.
I think
Yeah.
China was his last like good race.
race,
Ever
yes.
since then, it's just been below like par.
Yeah, and so when you're seeing teams do 1-2s, as a team constructor, you at least need your second driver being in the top 5, if
Consistently,
let alone podium, but top 5 and consistently.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the change would make sense at this point, because otherwise, McLaren will.
There's just
Continue to
no
do-
other team that like has such a big gap between their two.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of Williams, but you know,
Question mark.
I don't know. It's just all like Carlos and Charles are always side by side.
Yeah.
You know, Lando and Oscar always next to each other. Even Bottas and Joe like are
Neck and
they're
neck, yeah.
together.
That's true.
The Haas team.
The Haas are mostly together.
Yeah.
Like it's just not a good look, and
It's
it doesn't
not.
win you a constructor's title.
Not at all.
I'm really looking forward to the break.
Yeah, just to see what happens.
Yeah, to see all the silliness that comes from it. And then hopefully it's an even more exciting like second half where every race is like this. I mean, in contrast to when we first started the season where we're like, oh yeah, Max P1, even on our
Predictions.
to now where we we don't know. Like, there's so much at play. This is what F1 is. I'm so happy. I hope it continues this way.
It honestly will. Like we said, like regulations are not going to change. You have a year and a half left of it. Everyone's just, it's going to be track specific. Like Red Bull brought downforce cover for last week. It's going to be, every team is going to start bringing that. I think McLaren still has a bit more to develop overall in terms of performance, but every other team. What's that?
And team and strategy.
and strategy.
And just you belong there. Like,
yes, own it.
Walk the walk. Like, let's call strategies as if you're there.
Yeah. I mean, because no team fears them right now, which is sad when you have the dominant car. None of the teams
they're like, oh, they sure have a bad start. Oh, they make crappy calls anyways.
Exactly. Just Ferrari flashbacks for sure.
PTSD. Yes. But right after summer break, we have Zandvoort.
Yeah.
And it is Max's home race without a dominant car. Do we anticipate him reclaiming that top spot in his home race, or is it going to be another struggle like Austria for Red Bull's home race? Claudia, go first.
I mean, Max's home race is his time to shine, and we know that he always performs really well there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him at least on the podium. Yes. I think he's gunning for the win for sure, obviously, but I think a podium is in the books for him.
Yeah, I think the team are going to bring out everything.
Yeah.
They're going into this break. Obviously, the factories are shut down and everything, but they're going to come in super focused. Just if there's any race at all, it'll be that one that they're going to nail.
It'll be like his Charles's Monaco.
Yeah, it is. Every energy will go towards. I also think he needs it.
Yeah.
After the last few races, and I think it will let him kind of kickstart the second half with like that confidence to go. Confidence not in his ability, but in the team.
That's true.
Get him there.
And again, this is a track that we said Belgium would have suited McLaren. Again, this is another track.
Crazy.
High speed corners, braking points. Like it is and McLaren. I mean, Mercedes. They've performed really well on any track now. It's not even track specific, so they should be fighting for podiums. George Russell's gonna be gutted after this weekend.
Oh, he's
gonna be emotional. For my girl Carmen. That's who I'm really feeling for.
I mean, thank God it's a summer break.
He has a great support system.
Yeah, he can reset. He can reset in their summer break. But I think he's gonna come back stronger now. He's gonna be more angrier because he lost on a technicality and it hurts.
Well, I mean, he also took a gamble, and we know that it was a very high risk. Like that wasn't something that everybody would have done.
Yeah.
And so he was lucky to be there and to have gotten the kind of results. So I think he can maybe rationalize and maybe compartmentalize his emotions, hopefully. I don't know if he's the most calm. He is calm, but he is prone to mistakes too. So if he comes in with the anger and that, like, I need to gain back what I've lost, he just needs to stay cool if he's putting that kind of pressure, because when he's under pressure, he does choke a little bit at times too. So that's my advice to you, George.
Listen to us. We'll make sure you get the win again.
I'm a pro. Cool. I think
that's a wrap.
What a season so far. Who would have thought this is where we would be?
No one. Honestly, last thing would be bring the rain on qualifying. We've had 3-4 races with mixed conditions in qualifying, which reorganized the grid, and we have been having fantastic races because of it. So I most likely won't rain in Zandvoort, but come on,
bring the rain.
Bring the rain.
Please,
Mother Nature. That's our manifestation to close out.
There.
And Lewis for his third win.
Actually, it wouldn't be back to back though. No.
Almost.
We'll see. I'm excited. But yeah, that's a wrap. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, and do all the above. And we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah.